North Korea has been a problem for not just the region, for many years. We, as you know, are undergoing joint exercise with the South Koreans now. We are doing everything we can. It only takes being wrong once. And I don't want to be the Secretary of Defense who was wrong once.
Let's welcome to the conversation Sue Terry, Senior Research Scholar at Columbia University, expert in North Korean foreign policy. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So I think it is very hard to make sense of why tensions seem to ratchet up when they do. I mean, people sort of know about the Korean Peninsula, and they know that there's longstanding tensions, and they know a little bit about the North Korean regime. Why? But then it seems like, oh, well, every 2 years or every March in the spring around the joint fighter exercises.
Every holiday, they love to ruin our holidays.
Right. So what is accounting right now? Why are tensions so high right now?
Well, I think two reasons. First of all, let me just say that I never thought I would say this, but Kim Jong-un, Kim Jr. is really making me nostalgic for his father because he was more of a known entity. But right now, I think two reasons, because he's still trying to consolidate his internal support, so there's domestic reason. And second reason is because the Obama administration is not playing ball like previous administrations, meaning that the strategic patience thing, we're not responding to North Korea's provocations. We're not going back to the negotiating table.
Explain that. The strategy has been from North Korea, they provoke, and we go to the negotiate, and then we
concede. And they try to reap concessions, from us. And this has been a negotiating strategy. This is what North Koreans love to do, and they've been doing this for decades now. Except the Obama administration this time said, since he came in, from the first 6 months of when he came into the office, look what North Koreans did. They responded by just, this is how they greeted this administration, by missile launch, nuclear tests, withdrawing from the six-party talks, pursuing uranium enrichment program. And Obama administration basically said, we're not going to play ball. We're not going to just talk to, try to talk to you guys for the format of talking. You have to denuclearize.
Here's my question. So I came upon this op-ed today, which was written in 2006 by Ashton Carter, who is a very high-ranking Pentagon official, and in fact probably the highest-ranking Pentagon official with real Korea expertise. And I was kind of amazed by this, and I think it might account for the more, let's say, aggressive or defiant posture of the Obama administration towards North Korea. This is Ashton Carter, while he was out of the government, advocating for a strike on North Korea in a 2006 joint op-ed. If North Korea persists in its launch preparations, the United States should immediately make clear its intention to strike and destroy the North Korean Tapadong missile before it can be launched. This could be accomplished, for example, by a cruise missile launched from a submarine carrying a high-explosive warhead. The blast would be similar to the one that killed terrorist leader Abu Musab Zarqawi in Iraq. The effect of Tapadong would be devastating. Is Ashton Carter a powerful influence inside the Pentagon?
A tremendous one. He's the Deputy Secretary, and you saw who he co-wrote that op-ed with, former Defense Secretary Bill Perry. They've written a lot about trying to deter and contain North Korea, and I remember that op-ed very well. It seemed like they had just basically run out of patience. And the idea was, before they get to a preliminary stage where they, perhaps get something into space that could be a precursor to an intercontinental ballistic missile, just blow it up on the launch pad. The amount that can go wrong when you do that is tremendous. And you're not gambling with American lives, you're gambling with South Korean and Japanese lives if something goes wrong there.
Here's what I'm hearing right now and learning in real time, which is fascinating, which is that the way that we think about what changed in the equation that's creating this movement is the changes on the North Korean side. But what I'm hearing from both of you is there are changes on the American side. The changes in American policy and the way that America has dealt with North Korea and the personnel at the DOD is part of what's bringing about this moment of tension.
Well, it makes me wonder, too, this discussion that we had earlier about how is this just posturing? We've heard this all before from our secretaries of defense. Maybe the rest of the world doesn't think so. Maybe they are taking it seriously. Are we just too jaded from what we've heard before? Maybe this is a turning point for us.
And it does seem like the U.S. is mobilizing in ways that it hasn't in other moments of heightened tension.
Right, but let's just put it in context. It's not like we are going to do any kind of preemptive strike.
Okay.
We're just not going to do that. And let's also put it in context. North Koreans are not going to attack us. This is a lot of blustering. I know it sounds scary. They look scary and they sound a little bit crazy, but they're not crazy. They're not suicidal.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. That's what I wanted to hear as I ended my night here. I didn't want the surprise of tonight's segment to be that actually we should be preparing.
No, they're not suicidal, and their utmost priority is regime preservation. And they know the moment they attack us, it's finished. Their regime is done.
Spencer Ackerman, the other thing I wanted to end my night on was an amazing statistic you had on defense cost overruns.
Yeah, so this is an example of what Chuck Hagel was talking about in this speech today. If you just tally up 1 year's worth of cost overruns for the 96 most important defense programs in 1 year, that's $74 billion, which, if that was its own country, would be the third largest defense budget in the world, more than Russia spends.
Sue Terry of Columbia University, Mattie Kramer, National Priorities Project, Spencer Ackerman of Wired, Mattie Duppler, Americans of Tax Reform. That is all in for this evening.